as well. Um, but what happens a lot of times is that companies will try to kind of get into ads, will try to get into kind of getting everything set up. But the issue is that they'll have someone else to set these things up for them because they don't understand it. And if you don't understand it, the person that's outside of it can understand it, but it comes at a premium. And so the more you know how to do it, the more you know how to set these things up, the more you know you're in alignment with what it is that you're doing and what it is that you're building for the longer term, the better off you'll be. If you try to write that off to somebody else, or you try to get out to someone else, someone else will always be in control of your company. It will never be you. You will never be the one that's in control of your company if you kind of acquiesce this and you push this to the side, or you kind of move this over here and say, oh well, that part I'll let somebody else do it, but then I'll just make sure that the business. No, this is the business. This is literally the business, which is why the people that do this can start a business and then another business and then another business and another, and you're like, oh, how does this person have all these businesses, a serial entrepreneur and doing all these different things, and I can't even start one? Because they understand who they're talking to. They understand who they're speaking with. They understand that person. And the better you understand who you're talking to and you really zero in on talking to that person, again, like I shared before, you're going to get that person, but you're also going to get other people as well. But you want to zero in and talk to someone specifically so that when certain people see your ads, they know that you're speaking to them. Okay. And then, so do we have any questions before we hop into this week's lesson? Any questions at all? Any questions at all?
Yes, yes, and a comment. Um, I guess I'll start my comment first. I want to say, like, just thank you for showing us what you're teaching us, because I see that, like, I launched like my business to, not even necessarily launched, but I made it an LLC about 2 years ago, and I hadn't really done it because, like you said, the audience thing, like I didn't necessarily know what I was missing,
Mhm.
but I've had some clients before and I've sold some products before. And what I noticed, like throughout this thing, because when I saw you comment on Anthony's post, I was like, oh my, oof, maybe I went and did it wrong. But then I realized, looking at the target audience, that I've worked with people who were married already, or the first people who bought some of my workbooks were married, or they were all parents. So I was like, okay, I'm not too far
Yes.
off the mark. And I was starting a YouTube channel before, and I have my kids in the background. So when I saw yours, because I'm like, people always want to do that, but I was like, well, maybe that's part of my thing too, especially for mothers. Like your kids don't have to be your setback or different things like
Yes.
that. So it's really nice to see that somebody else is like on that same level, because she would be screaming and running around in the background. I would stop and I'm like, no, I'm not editing it out. So if they put that on TV, then that's on TV,
Yeah.
like.
Yep. And that's the nature of it. One, so that's just the nature of business, and so you get into business in order to be your full self at all times. The
Okay.
sad reality, though, is that a lot of times we don't know who we are, and being
Mm-hmm.
in business exposes who we are. So if you are a person who's
Mm-hmm.
family first, like I will never put a dollar before my family, that's going to come out. And so some people, watch this, some people will not want to do business with you as a result of that. Oh, that's unprofessional. That's well, don't do
Mm-hmm.
business with me then. Family will always come first for me. So if that offends you, then go where you want to go. Like over here, for me, it's gonna always be family first. And so it's like you will always attract to you people that are like you and people that think
Mm-hmm.
like you, people that have the same sort of priorities as you. And what'll happen is if you are bringing in or you're attracting people that are different from you, it's going to be hard and a struggle for you to keep those individuals because you're going to have to put on, I talked about this last week, you have to put on a mask. You're going to
Okay.
have to pretend to be somebody that you're not in order to satisfy these people. Ain't nobody got time for that. Like when you're running a business, the whole reason why you run a business is so you can be free. You want to be free. Again, I don't want to be rich and filthy rich and mansions. And I
Wow.
don't care about none of that stuff. None of it. It will
Wow.
never move me. I want money, have money by God's grace because of freedom. I want to be free. And the thing about being a Christian and being free is that you find out who you are. every Christian, and this is gonna sound contradictory, but every Christian shouldn't want to be free,
Mhm. Not to
because
me.
it's in some people's best interest to have a 9 to 5, because without it, there is no structure, there is no discipline. Some people have to have somebody telling them what to do at all times, or they won't do anything. And if you're one of those people, that's perfectly fine. That's okay. But if you have an entrepreneurial spirit that you feel like the Spirit of God has placed on the inside of you, I want to help those individuals and you all to do what it is that's necessary in order that you can have success at what it is that you seek to build, and what it is that you seek to create, or that you already have and you want to really build it up and learn how to scale it. And again, this is all at no cost, because it's not about money for me. I want you guys to get money
Yeah.
so that you guys can then do things that the church is supposed to be able to do. Again, when it comes to
Yeah.
supporting missionaries, when it comes to actually being the light and the salt, like we're able to do that without it being a
Being
financial
a giver.
financial stress to us.
Yeah.
But a lot of times when you look at the church, it's some of the most impoverished people that are filling up church buildings, and it's like, how? And I get it. This is no prosperity gospel. I'm
Yeah.
anti-prosperity gospel. I'm biblical. There are always enough resources inside the body of Christ for whatever it is that the body of
Yeah.
Christ needs. There are
Yeah. I mean, that's
always
all
the resources.
throughout. That's
Yeah,
all throughout. They took care of each other.
yeah.
There was, yeah. And that's the Ten Commandments.
It's basic. It's very straightforward, and the Lord left some very straightforward. Oh yeah. So she just wrote like some music notes to a son that we like, and it's called I don't know if you guys have seen it's the Trolls, the second movie, but it's they sing that song 9 to 5 where
No.
yeah, so it's in the second
In
one.
the cartoon. Okay.
Yeah, so it is the third one. Yes, the third one.
Oh,
It's the third one. She corrected me. It wasn't the second. It's the third one.
okay.
But yeah, so that's the goal though. Again, there are more than enough resources inside the body of Christ in order for us to be able to take care of one another. There are more than
Mhm.
enough resources. And we see that in the Bible. We see that with the apostles. They had the resources that they need, and they had to trust that they would have the resources that they need when they made it to the next city that they were going to evangelize. It's the same thing for us. Like, but what ends up happening is sometimes you'll get people who have the title of Christian and they just want a huge money bag for themselves, and they want to live very high and very lofty for themselves. And it's like you missed the whole communal living. Like we're missing the point. Like how? And exactly. So you're in the book. So yes. So co-labor versus reciprocity. And so that's literally what we're about. And so I actually want to share more of that book and just kind of do something separate with just that book, because that book has been like super helpful for me. Because like I said, I felt like I was like lost, because no matter who I brought it up to, everybody like I was ostracized. Even in seminary, I was bringing up in seminary, and I was talking to them because a lot
Mm.
of them was set up like, oh yeah, when I go to this church, they already have this 6-figure salary set up for me, and
Oh,
they
man.
have a vehicle for both my wife and I got a book deal, and literally, and I'm like,
That's crazy.
hold on, what? Like, so it's not just entertainment, it's not just anything, it's the whole Christian sphere
Mhm.
we have centered now around money. And so now, if that is the case, how do we get back to where we are supposed to be if even pastors are being incentivized financially? Like, we want
Mm.
you to come and pastor us so much. We got this house for you. We got multiple cars for you. We got a book deal for you. We got all these things waiting for you. Just come and pastor our church, and we'll take care of all that stuff for you. Hold on, what? Like, now you're not getting the most spiritual position as far as the most spiritually led person for the position. You're getting a person who wants your incentives and wants the things that you're
Right.
offering. And so that type of stuff like really like breaks my heart. So I'm just like, okay, what can I do, Lord? Like, man, so now with this book, when a friend of mine like heard me talking to another person that wasn't even in the conversation, he walked by, he heard the conversation, he went to his garage, pulled out it was like a big, huge box. And so with this big box, he comes in and he brings out these books. He's like, I think you should read this book. I'm like, hold on, is this a book like this guy going against me? Because I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, man, everybody's been going against me. Like, nobody believes like what I'm saying. Like, nobody thinks that it's that serious. Everybody thinks it's not that big of a deal. And I'm like, but in my mind, I'm like, it is, because if we live this way, we wouldn't have so many stressed and burdened and financially worried Christians, because there are enough rich Christians to be able to take care and help other Christians. And then so when he said, you just got to read it. And so I started flipping through it while I was there at his house. Like I was just like, he agrees with me. I'm like, I lost it. I was like, I've never found a book that actually agrees with me, like openly. Like there'll be people who agree with me privately, but they're just like, Matt, you just got to know, like, if you ever talk about this publicly, I can't co-sign. And I'm like, okay, I get it, like the fear, but I'm like, why are we scared, like, of what the book say? And when I'm talking the book, I'm not talking about that book. I'm talking about the Bible. Like, why are we afraid of what the Bible says? Like, because this book just grabs principles of what the Bible is teaching so that we can live according to that. So, again, all that came from be who you really are, and you will attract who the Lord's want, who the Lord wants you, as far as to like, and even and I'll tell you guys this as well. It will oftentimes be unbelievers that the Lord will draw to you, that have capital and that want to support your business that you're doing and want to pay more than what you're charging for your services. It will often be businesses. And so the Bible said on money with the professional, with it professionally for spiritual.
I've had 2 clients that I led to Christ throughout, because they wanted to know themselves and all of that, and they ended up learning more about God and the Bible. And they actually they were they were in a relationship for like 10 years, 3 children, but I ended up getting them at separate points. Eventually they got married. I'm telling you, everything just turned around for them.
Yeah. And that's the thing that's beautiful about literally being who you're supposed to be. You're not trying to be anyone. There's no mask, there's no facade. You're not trying to do anything. You're not trying to present yourself anyway. You're just being who you are. And all of the facets of that are just naturally come out. And then the people that you are supposed to be doing business with, the people that you're supposed to be helping, the people that you're supposed to be assisting, those people the Lord will draw to you so that he can get the glory from it. Even in business. Because again, I make the separation, I make the distinction, business, Christianity. But you are a Christian business owner. So with you being a Christian business owner, your Christianity doesn't go away just because you're running a business. Yes, you're in business in order to make money, but that does not negatively affect your Christian principles at all. So now you have people that are willing, because you're so honest, because you're so forthcoming, because you're so ethical, because you're so moral, and they've never experienced that before. You have unbelievers willing to pay you more than what you charge for your services. You're going to have people that are going to be willing to pay you retainers just to have access to you because of how you live. And they look at it and they're like, I've never met a person like that. I've never met people like this. Like, and I'm like, no, like, this is how Christians live. Like, this is how Christians are supposed to live. And that's what I want you guys to kind of get to the point of, is where you see and where you realize the Lord, he is our provider. He's the one that takes care of us. It's not going to be our marketing schemes. It's not going to be any of those things. And one of the things that I'll tell you guys as well is there are a lot of people that are marketing right now and they're unsuccessful in their marketing because everybody's onto the ploys now. Everybody's onto the ploys. So whether that be the lifestyle marketing and people are like standing in front of fancy cars, standing in front of fancy and big houses and all that type of stuff, and they wanted to, oh, you can get this too, you can get it too. Hey, just buy my program, buy my this, buy my that, buy my this, buy my that. People over it. People are over it. People want to connect with real people. That's why when you understand who it is that you're desiring to reach and you can connect with them, you're connecting with them in a real way. So you're not trying to do marketing. You're not trying to do ads. Everything comes naturally and flows naturally. You guys with me? So what I want us to do, so today is we're actually going to be talking about what you guys are going to be using as far as to get people to come to you. So as far as kind of, these can be seen as or understood as kind of like the lead magnet, if you will. And if we go back to the example that we gave before when we talked about fishing, so when we talk about fishing, you go to the lake and you're grabbing these fish, but the whole purpose is to catch these fish alive, because your goal isn't to eat these fish. Your goal isn't to consume these fish. Your goal is to keep these fish alive, put them inside of your well, inside of your boat, take them back to your own lake, put them in there, and hopes that a lot of them end up developing and growing to do the same thing that you're doing for your lake. So in essence, if we're drawing this full analogy that I'm talking about out, you're fishing and you're getting fish that you're bringing back to your lake, in hopes that this fish will be one of those fish that turns into a person that goes and fishes for you as well. Okay, so that's the full picture. That's the full analogy. We're fishing, getting the fish, bringing them back alive, back to our lake. And as they are nurtured inside of our lake, we want them to go and then fish for us. How do we do that? How do we even get fish inside of our boat, so as far as on our line, so that we can actually get them inside of the well as far as to keep them alive? What you are going to want to use are called lead magnets. So all a lead magnet is something that it's as far as you have this person that can be seen as a lead. What are your leads? Your leads are the persons or the person that you described and that you created when you're going over your ideal client avatar. But that's why it's important for us to know who they are. It's important for us to know what they like. It's important for us to know what they dislike, what they love, what they hate, what they're against. It's important for us to if you will, psychoanalyze this imaginary person and have someone in your mind. That's why I like to share with you guys. I like the pictures that you guys did and that you guys came up with, because that's going to help you in the long term to see someone. So every single time you're coming up with a piece of content, or you're coming up with the lead magnet idea, you're seeing who it is that you're talking to, so that you can actually talk to that person, because you can't talk to who it is you can't see. And if you can't see them, then it doesn't become real. It doesn't become concrete. It can't become consistent, because you're going to have to be consistent, not only in your branding, but because your branding is going to be consistent, it's going to cause for you to be able to be consistent in the ways in which you're reaching out to people, in the ways in which you're presenting yourself to people. Because again, long gone are the days of email marketing where it's cold environments. Now, mind you, it does kind of work. And even the numbers now are like, well, if you email market like 100 people, you should get like 4 to 5 people to respond. That's actually really good numbers, and it pays for itself. And I get that. I agree with that. That is true. But it's a lot of work. That's a whole lot of work. You have the same thing with mailers. So with mailers, it's about 2 to 3%. So if you mail out 100, you'll get like 2 to 3 people respond. But if they actually buy your services, and then you can kind of upsell them other services, then it does end up paying for itself. But again, that's tedious. That is a lot of work. And so when it comes to these things, when you're thinking through, okay, what is going to be my process as far as to draw people to my boat? How do I get these fish to want to come to my line? You're going to have to get creative and think outside of the box of what is the norm. You're going to start off with, though, in the box. So you're going to start off in the box. Think about people that are in your industry. Think about people that are doing what it is that you want to do, and they're doing it successfully, and they're doing it at a major label. I'm not talking about people who are imaginary doing it in a big way, as in numbers of followers, because I told you guys before, numbers of followers aren't necessarily real. There are ways in which you can buy followers. And so you always want to look at engagement. You want to look at engagement levels. You want to look at all those things when you're looking to see, okay, who are the people that are in, if you will, my market, or the demographic that I'm looking to reach? Like, who are those people? Okay. And so as you're able to know who those people are, you can then reach those people as far as your ideal client avatar. But then as far as understand what they're doing and what's working with what they're doing, and then make your own tweaks to it. So you're starting off inside the box. That's the first point, is that you're starting off inside of the box. The second part is that you're going to tweak whatever it is that is inside of the box, whatever it is that's the norm, you're going to tweak it to your likes, to your specifications, to how it is that you want to run your company. So say, for example, if you have a pizzeria, and there is a pizzeria that's down the street that is very successful, and they are now going to be your competition because you're getting in the business of making pizzas and kind of having your Italian dishes as well. So now they're your competition. So since they are your competition, one of the first prerequisites is that you have some of the things that they have as well. It's going to be very important that you have some of the same things that they have as well, because the reason why they have it, if they're a successful company, is because of the fact that people actually want it. They have it on their menu. They have it as a part of what it is that they're offering because people want it. If people didn't want it, it would have been removed off of their menu if this is a successful company. And that's why I say it's really important to know who is successful for real versus who is successful for fake. For fake, it looks like social media, it looks like followers, it sometimes can even look like likes. You need to know who is successful, as in who is making money in your industry. Who are the heavy hitters in your industry? So in the same way we did ideal client avatar, you also need to know who are, now we're taking our focus off of who we're targeting, and now we're targeting who's our competition. Because what we're going to end up doing is we're going to end up creating something to where there is no competition. There's no such thing as competition. And it's not us bragging, it's not us being arrogant, but there is nobody that can compete with what it is that we're doing and the way that we're doing it. That's the level that we do things as Christians. There is nobody that can compete with us. And that's not a bragging thing to say. That's not an arrogant thing to say. But there is nobody that can compete with the level at which we do things, because we do things for the glory and to the honor of Christ. We do things with our might. We do things with our strength. We do things with our all to glorify Him. So that means can't nobody mess with us with whatever it is that we do, because of how intentional we are about doing it. Okay. So when you're looking and doing your market research, as in what's working in the market, what's working for these other companies that would be seen as my competition when I first get started, because when you first get started, those people are seen as competition. Once people experience you and what you do and how different what you do is, then they'll say, oh, there is no competition. Yeah, it's a no-brainer. When we're thinking pizzeria now, no, we're going to go here. We're not going to go there anymore. We're going to go here now. Their portion sizes are bigger. They're kinder. They're whatever the case may be for your pizzeria and what it is that you're doing that's different from the other pizzerias that are in the area. They now are choosing you over them as far as the other people that they used to go to. Okay, so that's the first piece. The first piece is that you got to do your research on who your competition is when you get started. And the reason why you have competition when you first get started is because nobody knows you yet, which is fine. That means that people are a blank slate as it pertains to you. They don't know you. So now you get to tell them who it is that you are and how it is that they are going to deal with and interact with you based on who it is that you are and what it is that you provide and what type of service it is that you give to them and the type of service it is that you provide to them. Okay, so that's what we're doing. We're focused in on making sure that we know who our competition is when we get started. So when people think, like I said, like I used the example of a pizzeria. So when we think of a pizzeria and we're thinking of what do people in the Atlanta area think of when they think of pizza? When they think of pizza, they think of boom, 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 pizza, or boom, 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 pizzeria. They think of them. Okay, perfect. Got it. What are they doing right? And then you take your notes. What are they doing right? Look at their reviews online, because our secret and our hack is going to be to do all the things right that they do wrong. All the ways in which they drop the ball. So when they have those 1-star reviews, when they have those 2-star reviews online, we're looking at all those things and we're saying, we're going to make sure. So whomever it is that I hire, whomever it is that I bring in, we're not going to do those things. People will not have those experiences when they come to us. Because what happens is, if somebody has one of those types of experiences one time, negativity spreads so much faster than positive things. So if somebody has one negative experience, they're going to go tell 10 people that they had that negative experience with your pizzeria, your restaurant, your company. But if somebody has a good experience, they might mention it to a friend. They might mention it to a friend. But when somebody has service, when they have, since we're talking about food that far exceeds their expectations, like what in the world? Again, when Chick-fil-A came on the scene, people were blown away. Like, what? How in the world, like, can somebody give this good of service on a consistent and repeatable basis? It's my pleasure. Why are you saying it's my pleasure to me? No, it's your job. Like, why is your job your pleasure? It's because they taught them and they trained them. This is the Chick-fil-A way. This is the Kathy way. This is how we do things. So either you're getting with it or you can go somewhere else. That's how they hire. So now when you get a company like a Chick-fil-A that is able to brand themselves in that way, it's a no-brainer why they grew and are growing the way in which they are. It's because they said we are going to make sure that there is no competition for us. So it was kind of joke. It was kind of funny, you know what I'm saying, with the Popeyes chicken sandwich, whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, it's certain people that ain't never going to Popeyes. Like ever. I don't care how good the chicken sandwich is. Because, again, you got to think about it. Where is Popeyes located? There are certain people who are afraid to go to Popeyes locations. So now Chick-fil-A got free advertisement from this competition for a chicken sandwich for people who maybe were Popeyes people to go try the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich, who may have never had a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich because they just having Popeyes, that they just used to having Popeyes, and now they go get this My Pleasure experience. They don't have these long drive through the long wait. People, nobody with attitude. They pleasant. They smiling at you. It's my pleasure for everything. Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. And I don't think I want to go to Popeyes no more. I don't think I want to have a Popeyes experience anymore. Last time I was at Popeyes, somebody got shot. Last time I was at Popeyes, so I don't think I want to go back there no more. I think I want to get some more. It's my pleasures. It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. I think I want to experience this now. I don't think I want to go to Popeyes anymore. That's an exaggerated way of understanding. Make yourself different, and so different to where people become like attached to you, associated with you, your business, what it is you're doing, because they love what you're doing so much. Oh, there you go. Okay, and one of my daughter's favorite restaurants is Amicis, and so she would like Amicis. They're really kind. They're very sweet, very pleasant, always. And I don't even know if they're national or not, or it could just be like a Georgia thing. But yeah, so she really likes going there. So whenever like she picks there, we go there and we have a good experience. It's always a great experience. Always smiling, always kind, always constantly checking in on you. And it's kind of one of those things where, again, you have to separate yourself. When you're new, people are a blank slate towards you. So now you have to tell them what to write on a blank slate. This question: how can we differentiate non-famous individuals that are successful in our areas? Okay, so perfect. So for every individual that's in your arena, there are other individuals that are smaller that are successful as well. And with those other individuals that are smaller, it's going to take more time for you to be able to find those individuals. But through the use of like hashtags and things like that, you can find those smaller influencers and find what's working. Now, when we're talking about social influence, again, followers and likes doesn't mean success. I know multimillionaires who have like less than 5,000 followers. I know some who have even less than that. So followers and likes does not mean success, financial success, as far as in the industry that you're doing business in. Because again, the reason why I'm going through these lessons and teach you guys these things is because I want you guys to have financial success. Again, we can get into all the other categories of Christianity and kind of living those things out. There are a lot of good teachers that we can talk about as far as kind of getting those other aspects in check for our Christianity. But financially, there aren't a lot of people that talk about how to run a good business as a Christian, a solid business that is growing. And I find that is to our detriment, because in the Christian realm, there is a lot of gatekeeping. It's not that there aren't people that make a lot of money, but it's just that they aren't going to tell anybody else how to do it. I find that hard, because it's just like, well, why would Christians gatekeep against other Christians if, like, you know the struggle that it is, you know the fight that it is, you know how hard it is. Like, so if it's hard enough, just teach the information for free, and the people that are willing to do the hard work will do the hard work and see the result. Like, it doesn't take anything from you to help somebody else. And that's why, for me, I don't get it. I don't understand it. And is exactly the scarcity versus abundance mindset. And so most Christians that are financially successful end up having scarcity mindsets versus abundance mindsets, which is why they don't help other people to get to that same place as well. But so that's how. So one of the ways in which you can differentiate yourself from as far as the people that are non-famous is, again, using hashtags, using creative ways to find out who these other people are that are in your industry, in your area. So whether that be a specific model that you teach, and so maybe you've learned from like 4 different teachers how to do what it is that you do. So now your brain, though you learn from these 4 different individuals how to do the exact thing it is that you do, there is no combination that your brain has in the marketplace. because you went to 4 different sources to learn and to synthesize inside your head, inside your life experience. So now you have a unique product to bring to market that is different from everybody else because of how you learned it. Now, if you only learn from one person, then, and again, I'm still one of those people where I'm going to always give credit to people that I learn from. And most of them, as far as in the business realm, are unbelievers. And so I'm always going to call their names. And you can look them up and you can see they have some expensive programs. So if you guys want to buy their programs, you can. But I'm just saying, I'm going to give you all the same stuff that they talk to you about and tell you about for free. So these individuals, like, they don't gatekeep. And I'm just like, why do Christians gatekeep then? Or the ones that don't gatekeep only tell you how to make money off of other Christians. And I'm like, well, that's backwards. Like, because we are supposed to be making money off of one another. Now, there's a service that's provided and there are agreed upon terms, but we're supposed to be looking out for one another. And if we really have that mindset of, hey, fellow believers, I'm looking out for them, and I can do that. Why? Because I have a successful business. I built a successful business. So since I built a successful business, I'm able to then now look out for others. But what happens is a lot of times we'll have successful business, or we'll create a successful business as a Christian and then say, yeah, I don't think I want to share the things that I learned along the way, or the bumps that I had in the road. I don't want to share those with nobody, or the things that they need to look out for. I want to share that. I want them to fight and to have to like wrestle as hard as I had to wrestle. It's like, why? It's hard enough. It literally is hard enough with just life. Like, just life is hard enough. Like, why try to make it harder for other individuals? And so, but with that, the other question was asked right after that. How should we determine success outside of social media? So again, you have, there are also, so you have like SimilarWeb. That's one of the ones that you guys could write down. You also have, like, these are different extensions. So if you go to Chrome extensions, there are different Chrome extensions that you can download that will tell you have keywords everywhere. You have, there are a lot of chat GPT extensions that you, as far as, so there's another one called AIPRM for chat GPT that you can take, and they have it where you're able to, there are already codes written and scripts written for chat GPT to help you to be able to create something off of someone else's offer. And so when I tell you AI, so it's AIPRM, they have a whole lot of options there for you to be able to do. You have things like Engage AI. And so this is chat GPT for social media. So this is something, one, that you can use. And so some of these are paid, some of them are free. So this is something that you can use not only to engage on your social media, as far as through the use of chat GPT and AI, but you can also use it to engage on other people's content. So this is another thing. So I'll add this to you guys as well. So another way that you can actually grow your social profile is through engaging through on like-minded pages. So say, for example, we talked about Facebook groups and stuff last time, and forums and different websites and different things. You can also do the same thing on social media. So on social media, that's, if you will, is someone's house. That's their community that they've built. So they have a community that's there. You can go and engage on posts that they post, and you can have it be like an automatic, as far as with the chat GPT feature I just told you guys about. You can actually have it engage automatically whenever a certain person posts. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, to where whenever somebody posts, whenever somebody big, whenever they post, you'll see like immediately there'll be like 100 comments. It's like, hold on, they posted 2 minutes ago. How in the world is 100 comments already? Well, it's bots. So you have bots that are posting. Some of them sometimes trying to get people. Yep. Trying to get people. Oh yeah, the heart. Yeah. Trying to get people to look at, and trying to get people to look at their pages, as far as you'll have them like spam. So of course, spam things get ignored, but because of the fact that there are people that don't really, I'll say it, people aren't always as, they don't respond as they should all the time. I'm trying to think of the most politically correct way to say the intelligence that people have isn't always exercised how it could be, And so therefore, even sometimes when people spam, the reason why people spam is because people still do end up clicking on spam. They can look at the message and see that it's spam, and people will still click on it. So sometimes you may wonder, like, well, why are people spamming this? Like, people can obviously see that this is spam. Like, why are people clicking? People click on spam, unfortunately. Like, it's just the reality. Like, people click on spam. So it's just like, with that being said, if you have quality messaging that you like, say for example, you want to come out with like 5 different messages that are quality messages that you want to post on other people's posts, post it on their posts and kind of rotate through, because again, people don't pay attention as much as you and I may think that they pay attention. Because if I posted, like, I just use myself as an example, if I posted the same thing for 5 days in a row, half of the people wouldn't know, because either they don't look at the prior posts, and then other times what'll happen is they aren't on social media every day. So everybody isn't on social media every day. So you may think, oh man, I said something similar to this before. Man, people are going to think I'm a spam page. Chances are the person who's looking at the post that you're now posting on for this like big name person that's in your same arena, in your same field, maybe coaching, the coaching arena, the life coaching, the lifestyle, whatever the case is, people on their last post didn't see your current, you commented on their now current post. That's just the reality. They're not going to see it. Even people who look at every single one of this famous influencers posts, but what it does for you is it gets about maybe 20 eyeballs on you, 20 people to click your profile, because man, you just said something very insightful that people don't talk about for free. So even if you're just offering free advice to people on side of a famous person who is in your same industry, in your same field, you're offering free advice on their posts. So now, of course, they're not going to kick you out. So this isn't a Facebook group. They're not going to kick you out for offering free advice. If anything, they might reach out to you about a collab if you post something that they don't even know. Like, hold on, like, you want to work with me kind of like behind the scenes? Did I see maybe this person doesn't have enough followers for me to actually partner with them, because maybe the followers aren't there yet, so it's fine. Because again, we're patient. This isn't an overnight thing. We're patient. Okay, yeah, I'll work with you like behind the scenes, because I don't have the followers yet in order to work with you in front of the scenes. So I'll work with you behind the scenes, and then you can charge them a certain dollar amount because you have information and access to information that they don't even have. So you are more knowledgeable about your thing than they are, and they have more followers because they have something and knowledge that you don't yet have, which is how to effectively market themselves. So now all of this is leading to what? Going back to that original point, lead magnets. So these are new ways in 2024 of doing lead magnets. Putting stuff out there on the internet randomly, that's dead. It's dead. That's dead. People not clicking on it. People spamming comments underneath there. Oh, this isn't real. Oh, it's not. That's dead. And now, mind you, again, when I say that it's dead, of course, there's going to be pushback of people who say, oh, well, it's still working for this person because they're still putting ad dollars to it. But it's because their high ticket program costs so much, it still profits them to do it. But if you aren't charging the same 10K, the same 25K for their program, then it's not going to make sense for you to run the same type of ads, to run the same type of lead magnets where you're throwing money down the drain and it's not being replenished. If it's being replenished, keep throwing it out there. And the way and the methodology I'm telling you guys to use, you're also going to be able to find out for free what is working in your industry. You're finding out what works in your industry. Why? Because you're already following the major accounts, and you can look, and they have it on social now where you can actually look at it and you can see which posts get, as far as actually have the most views, which reels actually get the most views. So what type of content for them works the best. So now you can do the same thing as far as the same type of thing as far as content. Learn from what it is that they're producing, what it is that they're putting out, so that you can put out like content. So if it's like, oh man, their reels when they're underneath 3 seconds perform the best, or their reels when it's a reel that's over a minute long actually perform best for this niche, or whatever the category may be. Pay attention to what performs the best. Look at how long it is. Look at if they use the caption. Look at if they use any hashtags. Look at if they tagged any other profiles. Look at all of those things. Pay attention to all those things, because those are going to be the keys to the kingdom, if you will. Those are going to be the keys that give away what your steps should be. Like I told you guys, this is the hard work. But when I tell you it makes it easy work in the end, hard work leads to easy work. We got to work uphill before we can just coast downhill. And remember, when we're coasting downhill, it's going to be picking up speed naturally, because you are going to have a group and a community that you built that is all about what it is that you're doing and what it is that you're offering. If they're not there for any other purpose, they're all about you, your offer, what it is that you're doing, what it is that you're offering. They want to be all over it and all about it. Okay? So that's what we're going to be looking at as far as what are you going to be using as your lead magnet. So what type of conversations are you guys going to be having? Okay? What type of conversations? So what type of value do people see as valuable inside of your industry? So if it's photography, okay, what type of comment would get people to be like, hold on, this person know what they're talking about. Oh man, like I'll like their comment that they made and maybe ask a follow-up question. Oh man, you seem like you know what you do. So how much do you charge for your sessions? Oh man, I sent you a DM. Boom, there you go. Now, just because you left a comment, you got a DM, you got a new follower, and you got like 25 people that like as far as your comment, which then now pushes your comment towards the top of this larger influencer's page. It's a win-win, and that was free, and you did one comment. And because you know your industry or whatever your industry is, you're able to do that on a consistent basis. And you don't have to keep, again, like I shared before, you don't have to keep coming up with new comments. Most people aren't even paying attention like that. So there may be someone who comes on, depending on how small the page is. So maybe somebody who comes on and says, oh, I saw you say this before, or I saw this comment before. Again, you can change up the wording. Again, you can use ChatGPT to change up the wording. So just change up the wording. Provide my main point. Again, we're trying to grow for free. Provide value. Always be providing value. Be helping someone. And if you have a niche, be helping them in your particular niche, so that you're attracting those people in that particular niche to you. So the people that need particular type of help are the particular people that want to go to your pizzeria, are people that are interested in eating that type of food. Attract them. You're not trying to attract everybody. You're naturally going to get more people, but be intentional about who it is that you are trying to attract. Because the more specific you are about who you are trying to attract, the more you will then attract that person. And if you can attract that person, I can guarantee you that there are millions of people that fit into the category of the avatar that you created. Millions. And you don't even need all of the millions of people. In order to be successful in business, all you need is like 100, if that. People who say, I'm coming to you for this because I believe that you can help me. Okay? And then so, boom, boom, boom. So we have, should we consider others from newer companies too, or only those 10 years in the business? So I wouldn't limit it to only 10 years in business, and I'll tell you the reason why. Depending on your niche, it could be a more talent-based niche. So maybe a person hasn't been doing it for a longer period of time, like 10 years, but they're really good at it. So remember, you have what is called the 10,000 hour rule. And depending on how focused and concentrated somebody is on a particular task, they can knock their 10,000 hours out in 2 years or in 3 years or 4 years. Whereas because another person was working a 9 to 5, it now took them 8 years, 10 years, 12 years, 15 years to knock their 10,000 hours out. So now, again, if you guys follow sports or whatever, it's the same thing with Kobe. When Kobe was like the whole Mamba mentality, like that came because he wasn't good enough. The whole Mamba mentality came because he wasn't good enough. First of all, he wasn't good enough in high school, so he didn't make the team, then ended up having to make the team. Then when he got drafted out of high school into the pros, he wasn't good enough to be a starter. So the whole Mamba mentality came, the whole Mamba mentality happened because of not being good enough. But not being good enough isn't the problem. It's okay to not be good enough, because guess what? You can work hard enough to be good enough. You can work hard enough to be the best. You can work hard enough to be arguably the best. Okay, so that's what we're working for. Again, we work with our might, we work with our diligence as unto the Lord. So again, when I tell people that being an entrepreneur is the hardest thing that you can choose and decide to do, it truly is the hardest thing that you can decide to do. So if you have another route, by all means, choose your other route. But if there is a burning passion on the inside of you that you like, I can't knock this thing, it just keep coming back to me. That is the Spirit of God living within you that is energizing you towards doing the work that the Lord has called you to do. And whenever he's called you to do something, he's going to help you to accomplish it. He's going to cause for you to accomplish it. All you have to do is be obedient to what it is that he's leading you to do when he's leading you to do it. That's it. That's the requirement. And so it's important to know this because, like I said, to be an entrepreneur is the hardest thing that you can do. It's easier to clock into a 9-to-5 day to day. You know what your paycheck gonna be. You know what your retirement savings is gonna be. You know all those things. All those things are lined up for you. That's the easier, more convenient thing to do because it's aligned for you. Now, I'm not saying that it's easy because, again, some people have 9-to-5 that require a lot from them. And again, I don't knock a 9-to-5. And I tell everybody who has an entrepreneurial heart, you better work your 9-to-5 until your entrepreneurial journey kind of gets from the point to where it can become a hobby, as far as from a hobby into something that you actually do like for real in real time. Like a 9-to-5 is good. I will never be one of those people that knock a 9-to-5. Because if it wasn't for a 9-to-5, first of all, the passion inside of me would have never sparked alive the way that it did, because the last 9-to-5 that I was working, as far as was inside of a warehouse. So with being inside of a warehouse, man, listen, if you've never done it, you don't want to do it. So imagine doing manual labor all day. And then because you want the money and you need the money, now once you get an overtime, it's like you're getting a better paycheck. So it's like, well, you got to work overtime. But now you work overtime, but you're doing manual labor all day. That is terrible for your body. It's terrible for your body to be standing up that long, let alone lifting and moving heavy stuff, refrigerators, microwaves, all these appliances, having to unload 52-foot trucks that are all the way to the ceiling, 10 feet high. Listen, my back's starting to hurt right now thinking about what I used to do. Like, so your 9-to-5 can also fuel you forward. So again, I will never talk down on 9-to-5. I don't care what that 9-to-5 is. I don't care how much that 9-to-5 pays. It pays you enough for you to have a roof over your head, to have clothes on your back, to have food on your table. Don't knock your 9-to-5. Don't speak down on your 9-to-5. The Lord blessed you with your 9-to-5. Continue to work your 9-to-5 with all your might and with all your diligence until the Lord sees fit to bless you with the strength and the energy in order for your entrepreneurial journey to be furthered and to be established, if you will. That's what we're about. That's what we're doing. Okay. And then, so that kind of addresses, it doesn't need to be 10 years. It just needs, are they experienced? Like, because if they're experienced, it doesn't have to be 10 years. Like I told you guys with these teenage millionaires, these jokers, they in high school, retiring their parents. Listen, so heard of Myron Golden. Yeah, Myron Golden from the Trash Man, from the Trash Man to the what's the name of the book?
Cash Man.
To the Cash Man. Yeah, I remember it rhymed. Yeah, so from the Trash Man to the Cash Man. So Myron Golden is a guy who I actually like him. And the reason why I actually like him for a lot of reasons. But it's because of the fact that he's actually a very genuine person, very forthright person. He's a person also, though, that has very expensive programs. So with him, if you wanted to learn from him, it will cost you a pretty penny, a very pretty penny. I mean, one of them rare pennies that's actually worth millions. So yeah, it'd be a very pretty penny to work with him because of the fact that he's a man who's very knowledgeable and he got it from the ground up. He didn't get it because of cosigns. He didn't get it because somebody else looked out for him. He got it from the ground up. And as a result of that, he actually helps people to get it from the ground up as well, which is why his mentorship is one of the ones that I actually looked into. But because of the price that it's at, as far as it starts at 50K, I'm just like, I don't know if that's the best stewardship of the Lord's resources. So for me, it's like, if you know enough in order to continue to be able to grow and continue to be able to scale, it's like, that sound bad. It's like he's not necessary in that way because of the fact that he has the same principle that you can get from other people for a lot less of a price. One of those people being the person that he actually learned from, which was Russell Brunson. You can get the same principles, the same. Oh yeah, my daughter, because we looked through his books and stuff. So I'm trying to teach her to be an entrepreneur as well, to have the entrepreneurial mind, so that she never needs anything. So that even as it pertains to maybe the Lord saying that she's gonna get married one day or something, like it's never like financially tight, or like finances being their issues or finances being their problems. Like, okay, it's gonna be enough problems in life. Like, let's make sure that certain problems aren't the problems, because it's going to be problems. It's going to be issues, because we're all human beings, like waiting for glory to come to where we're absolutely perfect, and we get our glorified bodies. We have our glorified minds. We're able to live out perfectly the commands that Christ has called us to when we're glorified and we're in heaven with him. But until then, it's like life going to be hard enough, and have enough issues. So we don't need to add to that. So finances is another layer of issue, problem, struggle, hardship, that it's just like, if you remove that, now you can really deal with the core of a lot of things that actually take place and a lot of things that go on, versus like dealing with the fruit, the whole conversation of root versus fruit. A lot of times we're dealing with the fruit issues, but we're not actually dealing with the root issues, which is why the tree keep growing and more fruit keep being produced. And we're like, hold on, I thought I got rid of this tree. Now you can get rid of the tree. You just cut all the fruit off of it. Guess what it did? It grew more fruit because you never got rid of the tree. So in essence, you just pruned the tree to produce more fruit. So and so in that way, like that's kind of like how life is. Like life, if you don't get rid of things at the root, like those things that are negative and those things that are bad, like they're going to continue to produce fruit in your life. So it's really important to key in on those things. But yes, Myron Golden is a really good guy. But again, if you want the discount route for getting what it is that he has, you can go the Russell Brunson route, because Russell Brunson is where a lot of where Myron Golden got a lot of the things that he has. And then that's been a weird thing. I have been able to brainstorm around photography. I'm seeing photographers teaching photographers, but not speaking to clients. Strange. Whereas I want to teach people about what to do in their shoots and stuff like that. Okay, maybe. Okay, so you have to define your business model. So if you're doing a photography business model, are you doing photography from the standpoint of for photographers, or are you doing photography for the standpoint of for a client? So once you decide on which one is the best fit for you, then, and again, you can do both. But if you decide to do both, your time is going to be limited. Your time is going to be stretched in trying to do both from the start. So you can do both. I want to be clear about that. You can do both. It's just that you're going to be stretched in trying to do both and be as best as you can at both. So it's really going to be more so just really defining what route you're going to take as far as to get to the level of business that you want to get to. Do you want to do that through actually shooting the photography? As far as through teaching people how to shoot the photography, or through actually doing the photography itself? And so there are multiple ways to do it. There are multiple ways that you can scale it. And next week, one of the things that we're going to be talking about is kind of how to progress people through what it is that you do and what it is that you offer. So you're going to start at a certain particular range, certain particular level, and then there are going to be more ways in which people can benefit from whatever it is that you do. So if we're using the photography example, hey, I'll do a photo shoot for this. If you come to the studio, if you want me to shoot at a set that you determine, hey, it's going to be this. Or if you want seasonal photos, it's going to be this package. Like you, and this is all off the top of my head. So you can get as creative as you want to around what's called ascending people. You want to ascend them. And the reason why I said Myron Golden isn't as accessible is because of the fact that he has an ascension that you get into his ecosystem by buying something. So maybe it may be $47 something, it may be a $197 something, and that's just to cover ad costs. So $47 something, $197 something, maybe a $497 something. You buy, you're inside of his world. Now, once you're inside of his world, that's when you begin to get targeted for the 50K. It literally goes from that low mid ticket to high ticket. There ain't no in between. And that's why I say he might not be accessible. And so with that, it's kind of one of those things where when you know that, okay, like, where can I go and get all the information? And Russell Brunson is a person you can go and get all the information from, and he's the person that literally like all the group. Yeah, yeah, he's the real deal. He's the person that a lot of the gurus and all the people that have kind of established themselves online, they did it through his system and also through his platform as well, and through his software as far as the ClickFunnels software. And so with that, and which is why even when they have events that I often go to that are down in Florida, like everybody's there. So all the people that you see on ads all the time, they're all there. The reason why is because they learn from him, because he's like the grandfather, if you will. And then he got it from this other guy named Dan Cathy. Dan Kennedy. Dan Cathy, Chick-fil-A. Dan Kennedy. So Dan Kennedy is the guy that was over magnetic marketing. So Dan Kennedy, yeah, long time old head. And so it's kind of one of those things where once you learn who the players are, you can map out your course for who it is that you want to follow, how it is that you want to follow them. But again, I'm telling you guys this from experience, your cheapest route is going to be Russell Brunson, because of the fact that everybody else who learned it from him, they're selling the thing. Like they're selling essentially what they learned versus him actually doing the hard work of learning the thing and then like kind of going from there. So it's two different ways to look at it. Do you want to learn a game from somebody who's actually played the game and won the game, or do you want to learn a game from somebody who is playing the game and learning the game from somebody who's been doing it for over 20 years? And that's why I say Russell Brunson has the best route. He has the best ascension model. He literally, you can start off with him for free, and then you go up to a $27 product, work your way up to a $300 product, work your way up to a $500 product, work your way up to a $2,500 product, work your way up to a 5K, 10K product. He literally has the most perfect ascension model that I've ever seen. Literally the best ascension model. Why? Because of the fact that you can allow the things that you're learning from him, that you're paying him for, to pay for itself, and then you get the next thing. It's paying for itself. Now you can get the next thing. It's paying for itself. Now he's getting that. Even to the point of his software, it does the same thing. With his software, you get 40% commission off of his software. So whenever you sign somebody up, as far as an affiliate, you get 40%. So if you sign up 3 people, you're getting paid essentially to have people that signed up. Like, so it's like now you're using his software for free because you got 3 people to use his software. Does everybody know 3 people that they can potentially get to sign up for a software to make that software not only free to you, but you're also getting paid to use the software? It's like, and that's where I come in when I talk about the hustle, the drive, the ambition, the foresight, the vision to kind of see things. Because as an entrepreneur, you need to have like vision, or you need to be partnered with someone that has a vision for where you're going, because there is no roadmap for it. Because essentially what you're doing is you're a trailblazer. When you're an entrepreneur, you're a trailblazer. Yes, there will be other people that do some of the same things that you do, but you're trying to do it in a different way so that you can actually get more market share. So with that, want to make sure that answer all these questions, boom, boom, boom. And then I'm gonna get to you, Shantae, as soon as I make sure I read all the things you guys put there. I used to work in a furniture store. Oh, exactly. Listen, them warehouses are real. Them warehouses. Oh, your husband. Listen, when I tell you, appreciate the hard work that goes into manual labor jobs. Appreciate it. That's all I can say, because it's a lot of hard work that goes into it, and it gets ignored oftentimes because of the fact that it's like, oh, it's just a warehouse job. No, it's a very hard job to do. Teaching photographs is down the line. Okay. I appreciate you letting me know that I guess my internet went out or whatever the case may be. But yeah, so Dan Kennedy. So Dan Kennedy is a guy that is like so he's Russell Brunson's old head. So he's like I think he's like in his 70s. He's the guy that like learned from he's the guy that taught Russell Brunson. So he's the older guy that taught him. So Russell Brunson took everything that he learned from him and all these other places, and then now he took that and then now brought it to everyone else in his form of synthesizing for over a decade, because he got started, I think he said like back in like 1998. Like, so as far as with internet marketing and trying to get successful with it. So he was before like the .com boom and everything. So Boom. Yes, Shantavius, your question.
So while we're talking about Ascension, I know you said next week we're focusing more on that, but I've met Myron and a few others, so I kind of know what they talk about. And the idea for them, or from what I gather in their little atmosphere, um, or people that he mentor, is like it comes with the time value. So,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
after I get to this certain point, right,
Yeah.
I value my time. And
Yes.
so from what I understood, it seems more like, or I think he even said in one of his YouTubes, right? Like he, someone, a couple came and asked him, how much, for 8 hours of your time. And he's
Yes.
like, I don't like doing one-to-ones. So
Yes.
I just gave him a huge number because I
Yes.
don't like to, I
Yes.
value my time. And
Exactly.
he was like, okay. And he went along with it. So with stuff like that, I know I'm a beginner, but from a biblical perspective, because I know you talked about stewarding money, but knowing, right, if the time is the value, like,
Yes.
is it, you see what I'm saying? Like, is how much of that would be, from a biblical standpoint, would be something that you think God might approve of, or is just more on the worldly sense?
Oh no, I absolutely believe that God would approve of it. And the reason why is because, okay, so when you think about it, so when we think about the wealth that exists in this world, and the reason why I'm even doing this is because I want Christians to have wealth and to do the right thing with it, which is why I said the only thing that I won't do is I won't teach Christians how to make money off of other Christians. I will not do that. That's the only thing that I'm like against. If I can say that I'm against something, I'm against that. I'm against Christians making their money off of other Christians. And so with that, what you end up having is you end up having like this person that he's talking to that wants his time. Because essentially what the person is doing is saying, I want to buy your time from other work that you could be doing. I want to buy your time
Mm,
away from your family. I want to buy your
mm,
time away from all of your other responsibilities. And so, yes, there is going to be a hefty price tag if you want to buy my time
mm,
away from. And even sometimes people will request one-on-ones, like in-person one-on-ones. And so now, if you want me location-wise to abandon where I live, that's going to cost you an even bigger dollar amount.
okay.
Okay, so that's what we're talking about. So when we're talking about biblical versus non-biblical or unbiblical, what we need to understand is that people are requesting business time. This isn't from, like, if you will, a Christian perspective where it's like, okay, this Christian is asking me for help on how to start a business, and I'm telling this Christian this outrageous number. No, I'm telling this unbeliever like what it is that they need to hear as far as for what it is that they want business wise. I'm not cutting them a deal. Like, why would I cut them a deal on my time? I'm now
Mm,
devaluing my time for a business deal for them. This is all about business
right.
for them. They are looking
Okay.
to make more money and they're looking to use my mind, what it is that I know, what it is that I understand in order to make more money. And so as a result of that, they are willing to pay what it costs. And so I'm going to tell them what it costs and they are going to make a decision. So if I say, hey, it's $10,000 per hour, and they say, okay, got it. I want you to do such and such hours. Okay, got it. So that's the hours that I'm going to work. I'm not working outside of those hours. And you're going to pay me because if you want me in person, it's going to be added this much. And if you are okay with it being over Zoom, then we're good with just that price for the amount for my time. So you always want to be ethical with what you're doing and why you're doing it and how you're doing it. So you're not
Okay.
going to just charge people arbitrary numbers. Like, I would never get into that. So that's where I feel like
Okay.
it would be unbiblical to do that. But again, you have to think through a business lens. That's like if somebody said, hey, I know that you know so much, I'd be willing to give you a house if you taught it to me. Now, can I take that deal? Why? Because that's a barter. Maybe I'm talking to someone who deals in real estate and they own 8 homes and they're going to sign one of those homes over to me in order for them to get knowledge from my brain that of course is going to make them more money than what they're giving to me, or else they wouldn't value the information that they're getting from me at that level. So they know what they're getting. They know they're not getting the short end of the stick. And this is the part that a lot of times we miss as Christians because of the fact that the opposite end of what ends up taking place and what ends up happening. So with the gatekeeping that happens, and with the exploiting of Christians that happens, like it's like people either end up just kind of like on one end or another end of the spectrum. But there is an absolutely biblical way to look at it, where you're looking at, hey, these are services that I offer, these are services that I render, this is how I offer these services. I actually do group coaching for this purpose. But if you want it one-on-one, it's going to be at a one-on-one price. Because it's one-on-one in nature. So if you want one-on-one, it's going to cost one-on-one. And anybody who is in business understands what that means, because all of your attention and your focus is being pulled from anything that can make you money elsewhere to this one project. So, yeah, so I definitely would see that as not being a thing that is like against scripture or anti-biblical or anything like that. I definitely would see it through the lens of, yeah, understanding it as for what it is, which is, hey, you charge what your time is worth. So your time is worth whatever it is that you're saying that your time is worth. And again, you want to build what your time is worth off of the understanding of what you would be getting, and as well as the loss of time with your family. So, and again, to make all of these things practical. So you're losing money because you're not doing other business things. So there's a real loss that is there of other business ventures. But there's also a real loss of time with your family. So now, if you're asking a person to be away from their family, you need to be able to cover that so that when they do go back to their family, there's something that can be able to be provided for the time that was spent away from the family. If it's not worth it, it's kind of the same thing as companies when somebody may be maybe a businesswoman or a business man, whatever case may be, and the company has to fly them out to somewhere. Maybe they're flying them out across the country. Maybe they're flying them out of the country. It costs to do that, because the business knows that there is a business cost to them for a place for them to stay, for the duration of while they're there, the per diem for them to have food while they're there, that's on top of whatever their normal and regular salary is. So it's understood in the business realm. And so let's not, if you will, shy away from it or be intimidated by it. Let's always be respectful. Let's always be moral. Let's always be ethical with what it is that we're doing and why it is that we're doing it. And we're not doing it for sordid gain's sake. We're not doing it for money's sake, but we're doing it because we're really totaling up. Okay, if this person wants this from me, if I normally would be making this much per hour and they want me for this many hours, and they also want me to come to this location, yeah, it's going to cost this. And that's going to be your going rate and your going price for somebody that wants one-on-ones. And then once your price changes, as far as your price will change, once you have enough people that want you for one-on-ones. Why? Because now my time is no longer worth $100 an hour. My time is now worth $150, or my time is now worth $200 an hour. And now it's worth $400 an hour. Whatever your time continues to change to, your time continues to change to that. And because of the knowledge and because of the wealth of knowledge and because of the source of knowledge that you are, that you have become, and you continue to foster that and you continue to stay on top of what the latest trends are and what the latest things are, you're able to then continue to grow that as a result. So yeah, so I definitely would see that as ethical. I'll see that as moral. I'll see that as biblical. I would definitely, there is nothing wrong biblically with charging for your time, because you could either value your time, or you could have like you could not value your time and then end up starting an entrepreneurial journey and then being sent back to your 9 to 5. So you were able to graduate, if you will, to your entrepreneurial journey, but then you got sent back to your 9 to 5 because you weren't willing to charge what your new price is. So now you're like, oh, I got to go back down on my prices because I'm scared that I'm charging too much. No, the market tells you, the market will tell you if you're charging too much. If nobody's buying it, it's either because it's not worth that, or it's because of the fact that so either it's not worth what you're trying to sell it for, or it is worth it and you just aren't in front of your ideal avatar, which is why, again, we do that work on the front side, so that whenever you're seeking to reach out to your ideal avatar, you're already in front of your ideal avatar because you had them in mind the entire time you created everything. Everything that you created had them in mind when you created it. So there's no need to go back to the drawing board to recreate something because you had them in mind when you created it. which is why the ideal avatar is the most key, the most critical part to building anything. You have to have in mind when you're creating any and everything, people that have money and have a if you will, capital free that they can disperse to ventures that they want to participate in. So um does that fully answer your question? Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay. So what I'll do, and so the homework for this week is to come up with those lead magnets that you're going to be using in order to get people to you, introduced to you. Also have to come up with what it is that your offer is going to be, and we're going to be talking about that and how to create and how to think through it and all those pieces as well. But what you're going to want to do is come up with lead magnets. So things to get people to come to you, to look to you, whether those be comments that are left on larger pages that are in the same genre. And you're going to be documenting these things. So you're going to be keeping track of how many posts, how many comments you're leaving on what pages you're leaving them on, because you're going to be going back to them to see how they're performing and seeing how many people are coming to you as a result of what it is that you have been putting out there, and what it is that you have been posting on other platforms and communities that exist. So I wanted you guys to know what your homework was for this week. And again, over inside the school platform, please feel free to ask your questions. Please feel free to leave your assignments so that we can kind of work on those, fine tune those over there. And I look forward to being able to help you guys continue to establish whatever it is that you're building with consistency. Because again, that's what's going to make the difference. That's what's going to matter, is how consistent can you be with it, because that's what's going to be one of the determining factors that's going to separate you from the other people that are out there that may have something that's similar to what you're doing. Because again, once we build this thing completely and fully out, there's going to be nobody that is going to be like what it is that you are doing and what it is that you're building, because you are going to be completely and absolutely unique as it pertains to the marketplace, so that there is no competition. And so